straight run, or to be more precise, in the angle between the straight run and the perpendicular, which in this case is 90 degrees to the left. This tells the other bees that food is available 90 degrees to the left of the sun. If the angle is 60 degrees to the right, they'll be flying at 60 degrees to the right of the sun.
This is amazing skill of the bee that is gifted to them from Almighty God. And the Quranic verses says that in Surah Nahl, verse number 68 to 69, that and thy Lord taught the bee to build its cells in hills, on trees, and in men's habitations, then to eat of all the produce of the earth, and find with skill the spacious paths of its Lord. This verse is clearly describing about the skills of the bees, and these skills are, of course, that they go and find their food and all this. The thing which has to be pondered over here is this: the Arabic word used here for bee is fasluki and kuli. This word specifically refers to the female bee. And the research has shown of one frisk that the bee who finds their target, who finds their food, these bees are worker bees and they are female bees and not the male. Now let us analyze in the Shakespearean time, in the Shakespeare's play Henry IV. In this play there were some characters who spoke about the bees. And he said that the bees are worker bees and soldiers, and they are male, and they go back to their targets to find their food, and they are answerable to the king. This is what the concept of bees that in that century, in Shakespeare's time, that they thought it is male. And so the Quran has clearly described this fact that the bee who searches for their food is not a male one, that is a female bee. And they are answerable to their queen. And it took modern investigations in the last 300 years to discover it, which Quran has already described about 1400 years ago. Now, the communication and lifestyle of ants. Now, let me tell you a verse regarding this. As we all know that the Prophet Hazrat Sulaiman alayhi salam had the ability to understand the language of all the creatures, and he had the ability, he had the superiority on them. He was a king, he was like a king to them. And so regarding this, the Quran says in Surah Nahl, verse number 17 to 18, and before Sulaiman were marshaled his hosts of jinns and men and birds, and they were all kept in order and ranks. And then in the other part of it, there is a situation described, and this situation refers to us, is giving a sign that ants live in communities. It says, at length when they came to a lowly valley of ants, one of the ants said, "O you ants, get into your habitations, lest Sulaiman and his hosts crush you underfoot without knowing it." This is what described, and this is what the sign gave by the glorious Quran about 1400 years ago. Now, in the past, those people who insulted this glorious book, the Quran, they said, taking it as a book of fairy tales in which ants talk to each other and they are communicating such sophisticated messages, which was impossible for them to believe and to trust on it. But they were wrong, because the present research has shown us such amazing facts about the ants, and research came up with some strange facts. It is that ants bury their dead bodies as we humans bury our dead. Ants are having very sophisticated division of labors. They have managers, ants have supervisions, they have foremen, workers, and etc. They have meetings once in a while to communicate each other. Ants are having very advanced communication system. they have regular markets in which they exchange their goods, and they store their grain in winter and they let it grow. And so when they think that it is being spoiled, their grain is going to be spoiled, they cut their roots as if they understand that it is going to be rotted. This is what described by the research. And any creature on the face of the earth that has a closest resemblance with the lifestyle of human beings, these are ants. Means ants are having the closest resemblance of their lifestyle with the human beings. And so the glorious Quran is very logical, very scientific, and each and every word of it is truth, and it is not at all a fairy tale book. Honey, now it is a healing for humankind. Previously, people even didn't know that from where this honey is coming from. They knew that honey comes from honey is on the hive of the bees, but they didn't know that where it is being produced. And so some couple of centuries ago, scientists discovered this fact that honey comes from the belly of the bees. And this research also showed them that honey has the properties of healing, of covering up their wounds for the human beings. We can take example of World War II, where the Russians used honey to cover up to heal up their wounds. The wounds which keep moisture, these wounds can leave scratch marks, and there are high possibilities of growing fungi or bacteria. But if you put honey on your wounds, then due to its density, there will be no scratch mark left, and there will be no possibility of any fungi or bacteria. This is what discovered by the scientists in recent times and in some centuries ago. The glorious Quran tells us about the same thing in just one verse. It says about the bees in Surah Nahl, verse number 69. It says, "There are issues from within their bodies, a drink of varying colors, wherein is healing for man." Now the first part is describing that where the honey is coming from. It is saying that honey comes when the bees suck the juices from flowers through their string, and it goes into their stomach, and it is being produced there. This is what describes the glorious Quran from their bodies. And then later on, the next verse is saying, next verse is describing about the properties of honey, and that is the healing for mankind. This is what discovered by the scientists just few centuries ago, and this is what the glorious Quran has told us about 1400 years ago. So we were able to do